Welcome, Aron.
Safe space and that.
Yeah. Welcome to Arts, the Goodman. What brought this conversation today was the video that you posted with your son on your podcast.
Yeah.
First of all, let me just give everyone a background to who you are. Aron, it has a platform called Raising Boys to Men, has two handsome sons that he raised.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll let you talk on it.
Yeah, so the platform's called Raising Boys to Men. Started about, like the podcast element started earlier this year.
Yeah.
And that just took off. Me having conversations with Amari, who's 15, took off.
Perfect.
And it was the fact that it was conversations about manhood, fatherhood, co-parenting, which we don't often talk to our kids about. So I think a lot of people gravitated towards that. And one of the topics was what we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, Mel Bordning.
Yeah. I didn't even want to go down this path, but I started losing my hair at like 21. Yeah, so you got like 6 years left. I'm joking. Just because I lost my hair doesn't mean you're going to lose your hair. Yeah,
I reckon I'll keep my hair.
Just for the record.
You know what, I saw that and I was thinking, me being what I'm about, I'll say about 7 years deep being bald, because even the way I went bald wasn't intentional. It was more, the barber didn't know that I was doing a little tech to keep the high top there.
Serious?
And once he shaved it all off, it was peak. Because I would get like a level 1.5 on the top and a 0 on the side. So it kept, so the thinning thinning wasn't there. What I liked about that episode with your son was kind of like almost prepping him, because I wasn't prepped. And my dad died when I was young. So I didn't get that conversation with my dad where it's like, I'm bald. So
your dad was bald as well?
Yeah, my dad was bald, but I didn't prepare, and I never saw myself going bald.
Yeah.
So how was it for you? Like, when did you actually first start balding?
You know what? Like, I went thin. I was going thin. Yeah. And it was just like a little, I feel like it was like a patch there. No, I think it was the corners.
Okay.
So like my hairline was mad forward at one point, and then the corners started to fade out a bit. And then another barber was cutting my hair because my barber weren't there. So I had this young barber cutting my hair, and he's round the back and he's doing his thing. And he's like, "Oh, you're thinning." And like announced it to the whole barbershop, yeah. And I'm like, "Oh, allow it," because I knew the corners, but I wasn't watching the back in it. So when he said that, like my heart dropped. It was the embarrassment, because I was at 21 at the time. And when I say to you, growing up here, my hair was everything. Bro, like in school, I would have S-curl.
Wow.
So I'd have the curls on top, bald fade, and like everyone would always compliment the curls. "Oh, your hair looks so nice." So like, I feel like I became attached to that. Like how I look, that gave me confidence. So then when I felt like Rare starting to go, that panic kicked in at that point.
Oh, wow. 21. That is a very young age. Did you ever think it had anything to do with health?
No, and the thing is, because I don't know my dad's side of the family. So I know my dad's got hair. Even to this day, my dad's got hair. And I don't know his side of the family. So I weren't sure, like, where's this? My uncle's even got hair. He's only just started to, my uncle on my mum's side has got hair. He's only just started to go bald now. So it was like, I was just like, Rare, is there something I'm doing? Is it, first thing I thought of was, it must be the S-curl I started to use. So I was like, let me stop using. And people would say that all the, you know what, it's the products. And then when I started to look into it, I was like, if it was the products, like men put products on their whole head, but we only ever go bald on top. So if it was the actual products, we'd start to thin everywhere. So I feel like now, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Like there's not too much. Obviously there's stuff you can do to slow it down and all of this new stuff, but at that point it was like, how long have I got? I remember thinking that, like, how long has man got, like, before it gets bad?
It's weird because it's like, it's almost like you got a whole new identity. It's almost like the second version of you now. You know what I mean? This is part 2 of Aron that you're experiencing now with the beard. You know what I mean? And
I didn't even have the beard.
Oh, so you didn't even have the beard?
No,
so,
like,
wow.
you know what I had? I had the Method Man. You see the thin line?
Okay.
I had the thin thing.
Yeah.
But no, this beard only came probably like around COVID time. So before then, it was the thin line. Sometimes just the little bit down here and the pointy sideburns. But yeah, no, the beard. I feel like the beards come because it complements the baldness now. Do you know what I mean? But back then it was.
Do you feel like because you were going bald, your beard started growing bigger? Because that's always like a misconception with people where they'll say, that you ain't got hair on the top, and you've been blessed with a beard. But then I'm like, I've seen them that have hair on top and have hair as a beard. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, is this half a blessing? Like, what's going on?
I feel like to me, when I was in school, I remember I had like my best friend was Turkish. He was like 13, and he was like full beard at that age, innit? And he kind of taught me how to shave. And I feel like I always remember having a beard, but it was more, I just wouldn't I wouldn't see the potential in it because I'm going barbers every week. So I'm getting a trim every week and I'm trimming down here every week. So I would never see, how far can this go?
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Now that you say it like that, it's one of them ones where it's the timing of things as well. Because obviously back in the day, having a beard wasn't a big thing. And now, because I felt like when I started growing my beard was more like when the look of being bald and having a beard was changing. So you had that whole, what celebrities that people used to compare me to when I went bald? Terry Crews.
Oh,
he's one.
snap. Okay.
I used to get called him. And it was borderline bullying, but I didn't see it at the time. I would just laugh it off.
Yeah.
Like, I used to always say I got a middle part in. It's quite wide. So, how did you deal with the whole, reaction from people? You know what I mean?
You know what it was? At first, so obviously I started noticing I was thinning. And then I became more aware of it. So hats, everything would be, because I'm trying to cover it. I'm not trying to let no one see what's going on. And I feel like you'll go barbers, but you see when it starts to grow back after a few days in it, and you can then see it even more. So I was like, I got to wear hats. So my confidence took a massive hit straight away. And I remember any outfit needed a hat to go with it. Even if it didn't suit the outfit, it was like, I need a fitted hat, I need a beanie hat, I need something to just cover up. And I remember there were times, bro, where it was hot and I shouldn't be wearing a hat, but I'm wearing a hat because I'm not confident in... I feel like if I can notice it, that's all people are looking at, is where your hairline's going back and you're starting to bald. So yeah, originally, confidence took a massive hit. And it wasn't until I started looking at celebrities. For me, I started looking at Common. It was the light-skinned celebrities. So for me, it was Common. I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin, Goldberg, Jason Statham, Vin Diesel. All of these, man, I was like, you know what? They're all bald, yeah? The girls love them. And they just don't look like they care. And that started to give me a bit more confidence.
I know you're enjoying this conversation, but I'm here to remind you that this episode is sponsored by Goodman Beard Oil, plant-based, chemical-free beard oil to soften and moisturize your facial hair. Order now, goodmanfactory.com, and use code GPOD1 and become a good man today.
The confidence took a big hit, and I was doing stuff like wearing hats all the time and so on. So, and the only reason why I kind of stopped wearing hats was because, one, I learned how to cut my hair, and two was you start going to these over 25 events and you can't wear a hat inside the club.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, do I have to keep... And then obviously I was broke, so learning how to cut hair was important for me because you already know the prices of haircuts. I was still paying what it was, so I think it was probably £15.
Even though you got less hair now, you're still paying.
Why am I... I'm like, nah, you lot are bumping me. They looked at me so happy, like, oh, you, come.
Easy to win it.
Yeah, come. Yeah, it's easy 15 quid compared to doing someone else's fade.
Yeah.
So, in regards to, learning how to cut your hair, where did that start?
Bro,
and what made you start? Because obviously, for me, it was financial.
Bro, I will tell you. So I went to my barber's and there was a good couple years where he was blending parts of the top back down and the side. So it would look like everything was one level, but that would only last 3-4 days because then when it starts to grow back, it's uneven. And so then it was like, I'm going barbers more often. And then I remember going to him and I said, yeah, just try and do this. I can't remember what I asked, but he said, there's nothing I can do. He said, like, I can't do what you're asking. Like, it's time. Basically, it's time, innit? So I was like, I thought I had a bit longer. And like, I was like, let's just do it, innit? Like, let's just do it. So I remember him putting the foam on my head and then just picking it off, yeah? And I was like, it's not that bad, yeah? I was like, I'm all right. I was like, I'm all right.
Hold on. So what, for your hair, you actually use blade?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So this is what I'm saying. Yeah. So he done that, and I was like, it don't look too bad. But then within 2-3 days, it's now growing back, and I started to panic, yeah? And I was like...
you thought it was going to last forever?
No, it was more like, damn. Like, whereas when you've got hair, you can go barbers every week or 2 weeks, yeah? When I balled it off, after that, that's why I've left it as it is now, because you can see where the sides are growing and there's nothing on top. So I was like, I can't afford to go barbers every 3 or 4 days. I can't afford that. Yeah. I'm gonna have to do it myself. And I was like, right, easy. So I went and got Gillette Mac 3, the 3-blade thing, yeah? And phoned up. I went for it, yeah? And I was like, cool, yeah? I was like, all right. A day later, bumps. Everywhere, rashes, yeah? And I got so upset, bro, because I was like, I'm either gonna have to go barbers every 3 days or like, this is just that I can't cut my own hair. And then I went back to the barbers, spoke to him, and I think he said it was the blades I was using. So then over like the next few weeks, I learned, you know what, single blade, like a safety razor thing, yeah, works for me. You know what, cut it every 4 days. If you cut it sooner, you're gonna get bumps. So then you just start to pick things up, do you know what I mean? It's like men that know how to shape up themselves and fade. Like you just learn what works for your hair. So once I did that, I felt a bit more confident. And you know what, rare man can save money now.
Yeah. No, that's dope. All right, so that leads me on to my next question. Obviously, for me, I don't know where my boldness came from. The way it just came, it came. I know partly it was stress.
Okay.
Because I think I was at uni at the time when it started thinning, and I made poor financial decisions being in uni. I was crap with money. I was always in my overdraft. So, for you, do you feel like there was external factors that sped up that process for you, i.e. debt or like money related, or even just your diet at the time? Because I know now you're
I'm plant-based now.
Plant-based
more
now,
plant-based, like pescatarian more than anything.
Pescatarian, yeah.
You know what? I've never even, that's a good question. I've never looked at it like that. Like for me, I feel like I've always kind of been around stress. Like just from how I've been, like things going on when I was younger. So around that time, Amari's mum was pregnant as well. So there could have been those factors that brought it on. But my diet was kind of awful back then. And you don't really think of it like that. That to me, it was just straight away, I was like, oh, it must have been the products. I should never have used those products. But I feel like there are things you can do to prolong things. And maybe certain things are inevitable, but I feel like you can definitely slow down the process of things happening.
Did you ever consider that it could be something like alopecia at the time?
No. Okay. Because to me, it was never like a patch, so to speak. It was like, I saw it gradually happening, but it was just fast-tracked. So it was like, the corners are thinning. All right, cool. Then before you know it, my hairline's back here now instead of here. All right, then, okay, little bits here. And whenever I'd get a haircut, I'd feel so confident. Yeah, but it would just not last long. And then it's like, I start looking at myself, feeling different. And bro, it affected mentally, like you said, mentally, it ruined me.
Yeah, no, I noticed that under the post, a lot of men were expressing how their confidence, even to this day, it's been knocked. And it's kind of weird, like, for example, for myself, I just kind of had to get over it maybe because of the area I'm from where we always cuss each other. So I'm used to getting roasted, and that was...
Was you one of the first to go bald in your group?
Yeah, I never held on to it. So when I had that moment where my hair was gone, I didn't try and do it again. I think I tried once, and my boys roasted me. I let my hair grow for time. And I was having some, Nutty Professor side, afro on the sides, and nothing was going on. So I just shaved it off. Like, I was wearing hats for a long period of time. And I just said, nah, it's long. And then obviously, what was the saving grace is that I'm tall. I'm not the average height.
And you're built.
I'm built. So it's like, people never really noticed it. Like, I remember at the time, I think I was joking about, like, what I would do is I would put my insecurities out there before you could even say anything. And
some 8 Mile Eminem thing.
I didn't know you even had hair. I've never known you to have hair. And I was like, raw. Like, you've never noticed, but I could imagine she's shorter than me, so she couldn't even see the top of my head even if she wanted to. So it was one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, so it's not that bad. And then it never happened. So leading on to my next question about relationships, women that appeal to you, one thing I did realize when going bald is that it opened the door for mature women.
Serious?
Straight away. Like, when I used to tell girls that I was 25 at the time and they were like 30, they were like, but it's because I was bald already. They were rattled by it. Did you ever have those experiences? Did it ever change your dating experience?
You know what? I feel that the moment I accepted it, things started to change. That moment, and this is why I say confidence comes from within. Because I never looked different. Like, once I started going bald, the acceptance and bicking it off, I looked better at that point than I did trying to hold on to it. And then once I got comfortable with that, I feel like I just naturally maybe had more people gravitating towards my energy, right? This is a confident man, he's carrying himself well. And I feel like bald men that carry it are more appealing, because I feel there's a confidence there. I feel you can tell, like, I see certain man on the bus and I'm like, you gotta let that go. You see the man that, like, I don't know, like, they just have the bit that they're trying to comb it over. I'm like, you just gotta let that go. Like, I could never do that because it was afro hair in it, but I'm like, you gotta let that go.
I find myself having to tell man them like that. I'm like, bro, you're handsome without it. And I think that's a part of it. Like, one thing you said, you don't know your dad's side, so you never really had that a man-to-man assurance type of vibe.
100%.
Whereas I was fortunate, my uncles, they're all bald, and they never had any problems with it. So it's I had kind of positive role models that were close to me that were bald. So it's like, all right, cool, it's not that bad.
It's a normal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not my hair. Like, it is. I'm who I am, and whoever I evolve into is who I'm become. So I feel like, do you feel like, you see how you were speaking to your son?
Yeah.
If you had that experience, how do you feel like your outcome would have been?
I feel having a father around, full stop, would have naturally given me more confidence, because you almost feel like I'm safe. Do you know what I mean? Whatever happens, I get ill, we go broke, I lose my hair, my dad's here, so there's this manly protection, do you know what I mean? So I feel like if I had my father around, I would have just been able to go into things with a bit more confidence. And knowing, I just feel like there's something about an older man just telling you, you know what, it's good, you know, like, it's good. That's very different to your mum saying, oh, but you look so handsome. Like, it's so different, bro.
Yeah, exactly. It does come across patronizing. I'm sorry, mum.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It is different when I'm like, that male validation. I think it makes a big difference, where it's like, and I think subconsciously, men that didn't grow up with their father somewhat seek that. And I felt like I seek that a lot, especially when it came to how my parents started to change.
Yeah.
Because once you cut your hair, it changes your face. People start focusing on your face. Like, it's almost like it's the difference between looking, I don't know, pretty and looking handsome. Like,
do you feel like it's more masculine?
Ooh. I think if I was to say it is masculine, it would be biased. Because I've never had the hair experience. From young, I've always cut my hair.
Yeah.
So it was either, and my mum used to cut my hair growing up. And then I went to the barbers, but I went to the barbers. My career at the barber was probably about 6-7 years. And I think that was part of the reason why my boldness was accelerated. Because I started going barbers. I never had no hair issues, but when I started going barbers, that's when the funny stuff started happening, you know what I mean? So, and I used to go barbers very frequently.
Or once a week thing? Or?
Once a week, sometimes twice.
Yeah, see.
So I'll get a haircut, then get a line-up.
Them things?
Yeah, you couldn't catch me dead or alive.
And you know what? Like I see my barber saying it, which is why I respect him. Yeah, here have like young kind of kids come in, and it might be his first time cutting their hair, but he can see how the previous barber has pushed their hairline back or messed with their baby hairs. And he's like, nah, for these young kids, you shouldn't be messing with the baby hairs, let it come through. And I think so many barbers are just focused on this perfect lineup, that sometimes that can mean pushing the hairline back.
Facts.
Yeah, that's not...
Facts. Would you, let's say, magically go back in time, would you have thought about doing stuff like having locks? Because that's one thing I wish I had. If I'd known that I was going to be bald at 23, 24... You'd
have made more of the hair.
I would have made more of the hair. Obviously, for personal reasons, I couldn't have... it's not that I couldn't have cane rolls. I don't think I was bold enough to like tell my mum, yo, I'm growing my hair and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I was very shook of my mum at the time, so I would have never done it because it would have made her upset. Do you feel like you would have tried different hairstyles? And do you encourage your sons to?
Like, in terms of my son, Amari vexes me with his hair, yeah, because he's grown this afro now, yeah. And we spoke and we said, you know what, if you're gonna do it, all right, cool, it's gonna take some persistence, but then your mum can plait it, and he doesn't get it plaited. He just likes to walk around, and I'm like, you're doing yourself a disservice, because when you got your hair plaited, you look so fresh. And whereas other people will be like, oh no, but he looks nice. I'm always real with him, because I feel like mums will kind of always say, oh, you look so pretty or gorgeous, and that looks so nice. With me, I will say to my son, I don't like that. I don't think it suits you. So that when I do say, you know what, I love that, he knows where dad means it, you know, because he hardly says it. But growing up, I looked at celebrities. So like Soul Solid Crew, yeah, I remember Romeo had like this border line there, so I wanted that. And then Bradley from S Club 7, yeah? Don't even laugh, I'll be honest. Bradley from...
Raising boys to men. Yeah.
Bradley from S Club 7, yeah, he had plaits just on top. So it was bald on the side. So I tried to grow my top for a couple months, but I think after 2 months, I gave up. So I think in that, if I could clip my fingers and have hairstyles, I would have tried loads. But knowing where I've got to grow my hair and potentially look scruffy for a period of time until I can look good again, I didn't have it in me.
You know what? You said something very interesting about celebrities. And I remember growing up and doing, I think one of the last hairstyles I did was Kanye West. You know, he had the lines on the side.
Yeah.
And that was my thing, I think, like, during first year of uni, like, graduation time.
Okay.
And now it's brought me back. Do you feel like some of these hairstyles that we had tried to attempt, you know, like you said you use products, that also had what do you call it? How can I say? A input in us going bold. Because, you know, like, it's all like patchy stuff that you're doing. So it's like you might cut a nightick out on your head.
Yeah.
You might put lines here and, like, especially lines on the edges. You can imagine that actually affects your hairline potentially.
And I feel like some people, when they get their hair plaited or it's too tight, certain things are too tight, and it does, like, you see certain people as well. And when you're combing your hair, some people comb out their hair's just coming out. I feel it's just important for, like, younger people to realize, like, you know, sometimes the best thing to do with your hair is leave it. Just leave it, just as little as possible. That's why people that do have locks, they've been growing their hair for time. And you see them, it's healthy hair as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I'm always a fan of, like, with my son anyway, I like it when it's short. Yeah, it's easier to maintain. Like, you don't have to worry about it drying out or whatever. And because he's getting older, I know he doesn't look after his hair like he should. So I know he's not shampooing it as often as he should. I know he's not moisturizing it as often as he should. But back then, you know, for me as well, I grew up with a white mum. So having a white mum and having black hair, like, my mum would look into it and see what's good. But having a man that says no, or even a black person in my family to say, this is what you should be using, I feel could have made a difference. But a lot of the times, I guess we can try European products that aren't necessarily for our hair, do you know what I mean? But it's about awareness.
Yeah.
I know you're enjoying this conversation, but I'm here to remind you that this episode is sponsored by Goodman Beard Oil, plant-based, chemical-free beard oil to soften and moisturize your facial hair. Order now, goodmanfactory.com, and use code GPOD1 and become a good man today.
It's true, because what you said about using blade, I was shocked. Like, I've never
Oh, you
used
thought it
blade
was
on my...
shit,
I've always used a wool detailer, and this shaver. I use clippers. I don't even play with
You've
blades.
never tried blade?
I tried blade once in uni. My shit looked like popcorns, like burnt black popcorns all over my head. Pop, 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 pop. So I vowed I'll never touch a blade again.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't use blade at all. Like, if I'd rather do laser treatment than to go on to blade. Also, there's online. I've been researching.
Yeah.
When I went bald, I said, what can I do about it?
100%.
And I think this leads to the question we spoke about on the phone, taking supplements, taking a trip to, you know, the red flag. Like, what was, okay, so you've lost your hair, technology is advancing, you've got the internet, you've gone online. What have you seen? Because obviously, clearly you didn't want to go bald, just like I.
Yeah.
Like, what solutions did you find online?
I remember first thing while I was going, when I was really starting to thin, I went to Belgravia in London, and I knew they were topic and peel-based products, but I didn't know about it. So I went there, they looked over me or whatever, and they said, yeah, we can help. We can help stop the hair that's thinning from going anymore and start to regrow that, but we can't regrow hair that's gone. So I was like, right, okay, if I take these pills every day and use this solution, I can maybe bring back what's kind of going at the time. But they said the downside is it can affect your fertility or libido. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So straight away, I came out of that and I was like, no, it's not, to me, that was never, I'm not weighing that up. Like to me, my manhood, that comes first. So I tried that. And there was this other company, which was at the time, it was like this laser treatment. So I went there, and what they claimed, because a lot of this is claiming, they claimed that they could, and I think I saw some celebrities endorsing it, like this cricket player was endorsing it. I saw it on a late night commercial, like, this is what I use. And it was always white people. And I was like, you know what, let me go see them. So I went to see them, and they was like, yeah, you come in for one treatment every week, whatever. And it was thousands of pounds. And I was like, there's nothing for me.
Yeah, and that's heartbreaking, because I know for me, I looked at it when I couldn't afford some of the solutions that I saw online. I was just like, I'm stuck. And the cheaper option was go into the shop, go to New Era, £25,
grab a hat,
buy a new hat. And I just thought, yeah, I'll go that route. But as time's gone on, I've seen this new process.
There's bare things now.
There's this new process that I've seen. It's a trend on TikTok where people go to Turkey and they'll pull their hairs, because you know, like, you
FUE, innit? I think it's called FUE, yeah.
And they'll pull their hairs and put it in their front, and they'll make incision of every single hair.
Rather than because the old process used to be they would take, bro, when I tell you, yeah, if you looked at my Google searches years ago, yeah, everything would be hair transplant, this. So the old process was they would take a strip of your hair, and then stitch that, a strip of your scalp, stitch it up, and then that strip they've got, they then unplug all of those and then put it in.
Oh, wow.
But now, and so you'd have this big kind of scar across your head. But now what they do is they can take out each follicle and place it on top. But to me, the downside with that is, A, there's not enough hair here to cover this anyway. And if you're still thinning, say you're just kind of receding, and then they do that and they fix the hairline, but then you start to thin even more.
Okay.
What are you gonna do? Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. So a lot of the time when people are having hair transplants, they're still having to take those pills that I was telling you about to stop it from getting worse. And that's why I'm like...
You're damned if you don't, you're damned if you do.
But you know the new thing though? The tattoo, the hair tattoo.
I'm not a big fan of that. The reason why is just, I've got tattoos. I don't exactly, it's not that I regret them, but I'm kind of happy that I didn't do arm tattoos and so on. The tattoos I have are really hidden.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do a hairline, because I'm at the stage where I've been bald for so long, I don't know what suits me if I had a hairline. If you put a hairline on, God said, son, do you want a hairline? Like, I wouldn't know what's going on. Like, I'm like, so I want it like this person, that person, and Idris help. I wouldn't know what's, because I got a big head. So I'm at the stage where it's just like, I'll take any other blessing, leave my hairline alone. So.
See, I looked into that, because that's been around for a few years. And I know I've got a friend that's actually done it. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, it gives the appearance that you've got like a level 1 or something. It's like, but you can see the hairline and whatever. But I just feel that, it's like, sometimes I don't cut my hair for a few days. Yeah, like we haven't trimmed our hair. Like I think the last time I did mine was like 3-4 days ago.
Yeah, my one's about a week now.
If I've got a hair tattoo on top, yeah, that is like, looks like a freshly shaved head, yeah, and my sides are now growing, that's just gonna look so off key. So now I'm gonna be forced to, where I have to stay on top of this every so often. And I just feel like, to me, I feel like there's a calmness in accepting that and a strength that comes from that. Like, you know what? I'm not my hair. I'm not my hair. However much I loved having hair and the confidence it gave me, being able to own this look provides me anyway with a lot more confidence. And the great thing, bro, is knowing that now upon reflection, I went bald early. So that process of being depressed, overthinking, letting it weigh me down is out of my life. My appearance won't change now. Whereas there's men now going bald in their 30s and 40s that are now going through that. And I'm like, I get to sit back and be that rare.
It's almost like you're happy that it's happened when it had happened. When it happened. It would have like affected you probably even worse if you were a lot older.
Knowing that rare, like man's getting older anyway, and then it's like rare, now I'm losing my hair, putting on a bit of weight, doing this, doing that.
The combination of things.
It might have topped me, but you know the beauty of it as well, those men that were laughing at me, now I get to see their hairlines disappearing, yeah? They're like, but what'd you do? How'd you do this? And I'm like, wait.
I definitely believe there's a confidence and swag that you have. I feel like it's not that you have to be overconfident, but it's almost like just your presence addressed the elephant in the room. So it's now like a thing where you know who you are, and you know you've gone through a process that's taught you more about yourself, that's allowed you to navigate the world now. So like that's the great thing of going bald. I took it for granted, because now I'm looking at my mates and a lot of them are going bald now. Some of them have taken the leap of faith. Some of them are holding on for dear life. But it's kind of like, raw, like you are going through this in your 30s now. I'm looking at you like, oh.
I'm calm now.
I'm so over it. Like, so that's why when people used to send me, like people joke and send me the turkey, if someone's done their turkey treatment, I'm like, honestly, I don't even have that desire. Like, I do not have a desire to have a hairline now. But
you know what? I feel like there's a calmness. Even you saying that, there's a calmness, because like, when you're at that stage where you're still like, you know what? Should I go turkey? You know what? Should I get the hair? You're thinking of all of these options, and that can be stress in itself. Like, what should I do? And sometimes it's like, you should just accept it. Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, accepting it's forced me, going bald has actually forced me to look in the mirror. Do you know what I mean? I really look at myself and be like, rare, this is me.
Okay, so this is a caveat. question. Has it changed how you pose now? Because I'll say this when I think it was a child. I said, oh, why do you always raise your head? And I know subconsciously, yeah, I've done that because back in the day, I didn't want people to see my hairline. Do you think like, you know, like where you might lean your head forward and like, you know, you're showing them the light skin eyes, light skin face. Now you're like, yeah, let me put my head up. Yeah, I'm tough. Looking like a bouncer. Like, do you feel like it's changed how you maneuver when it comes to taking photos and stuff like that?
No, you know what? I feel like because I'm tall, when I'm posing, especially if I'm posing with shorter people, I'm always coming down anyway. But I feel like I've never looked at it like that.
No, it's something I've observed of myself. That's why.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything to do. I feel like when I was going bald, it was definitely like, okay, get this side, or get this, because I'm not. It's not so bad this side or whatever. But like, I feel like I'm genuinely. Bro, I feel like I'm happy. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, even having this kind of conversation, it's like, right, man's been through what was a stressful time. And I remember really like looking at myself in the mirror as I'm going bald. And bro, I was so upset. And I was like, what can I do? There must be something I can do. To know that I've come out of that. And now I just look at myself, I shave my own head, and I'm like, you're good, you know? Like, you're good. And that's why I try and pass that on to my son. Like, you know what? You got an afro, you look nice now, yeah? But don't think you're that hair. Like, if that afro wasn't there, you'd still be a Murray. You'd still be amazing. Do you know what I mean? Don't become too attached to it. And that's the thing, we become so attached to our hair, our clothes, like our build, our shape. And it's like, no, be attached to who you are inside.
Perfect. No, I think that's a beautiful way to end it. I would like to see if you could give a message to the young guy and there's a lot of men in the Goodman community that are probably going through what we went through. What type of message would you want to give them that they probably ain't experienced, and kind of, I don't know, what do you want to say to the people about male boldness?
I feel like just in life in general, yeah, understand you can't control everything, yeah? There's an element as you grow as men as well. A part of being a man is acceptance. Acceptance for things that you can't control, yeah? And you're getting to a point where you're raising your child. There's so many more important things in your life than your hair and how you look. That's a small part of you. And by attaching yourself to something like that, you're connecting yourself to something that is naturally going to change over time. Do you know what I mean? Don't get fooled by how celebrities look or what we see where people are now having, like male weaves and stuff like that. It's like we're trying, bro, when I think of it, yeah, we are trying to constantly hold on to that younger version of ourselves. The way our hair used to look, the way our skin used to look, how slim we used to be, how fast we used to be. And the peace and the calmness comes from just accepting you are going to get older, you are going to change, but you know what? That's a beautiful thing. That's not a bad thing, that's a beautiful thing, so accept it.
No, that's perfect. I think 100%. You just got to accept it. And I think I'm more in love with embracing the journey of who I'm going to become at 40, who I'm going to become at 50, 60, and so on and so. And I feel sometimes, yeah, we do hold on to stuff from our past as to say that's the superior. I feel like, especially for men anyway, we get better as we get older. 100%. Like I could tell.
You have the option.
Yeah, and I feel like even the wisdom that you gain, the physical, the discipline, the routine that you have. Like I'm sure you look at your sons and you think, yo, like you lot just waste time.
Yeah, bro.
And there's so much you could do, but they have so much time, but not enough will. Whereas we have a lot of will, but already the day's almost done. So yeah. Now, I think on that note, we'll end it. Thank you for coming to the Goodman Factory studio. Thank you, Aron. If you want to, everyone knows who you are. Raising Voice to Men.
If you don't know by now,
make sure you follow him.
Please do.
He's doing amazing content on fatherhood and co-parenting. So,
and use the Goodman
beard oil,
please.
Trust me. We're going to have it in here. This episode is sponsored by Goodman Factory. And on that note, peace.